Right, this is the way I make a handle, and here we are. When I made this handle, I made it like that, to that pattern. After I made it, I noticed there was a little split in it, and I thought, oh, this is made, can't think of the wood now. And there's this little split, and I thought, oh, that's going to break. So I made another one at the same time in preparation. Same pattern, got the same look, there, like that. I made that exactly the same, didn't take too long. And now I've got a pattern, so if that goes, I just change the ferrule over, and that will replace that. So that's the thing that I've made, and I've also made something here like a rasp out, and then I made a handle, and I brought it up to a point there, and I can use that for various work that I do. So there we are. So this is how I make my handles, and if you know how to make a handle, and you can go on eBay and you think, oh, it doesn't matter about the handle being bad, as long as the sickle's good, I'll buy it. Won't take long to make a handle. This is what I make my handles out of. It's you want wood that's stable, that's isn't going to do anywhere. It's been there for 100 years, and so you want wood that's been cut a long time, that's been air dried naturally, and it isn't worm eaten, not likely to be. This is a part of a building, the rafters in a building, and it was lime washed about 1820, which is about 200 years ago. That's 200 years old, and I'm going to make a suit. Now the first thing you want to do is make a blank. You want to make a blank, and the blank wants to be the same size as that. Now I found a washer in my kit, and it's the same size as the flare. And you want a tube, if you like, of wood, 6 inches long or thereabouts, of that size. So what I'm going to do is make a blank called a blank. The blank is prepared, ready to be shaped. And what I done, I put the washer on there, drawn around it, then made a mark where the hole is. Then I got on the other side of the blank, put the washer on there, drawn around it, made it mark where the hole is. So now that's ready to be cut out. I've also made a mark there and a mark there because I wanted to take that out to just make a square with a washer mark and a hole. And I've done the same there. So that's ready to go. Now then, the first thing I do when I've done that is I drill the hole, because the hole is the piece that's a little bit tricky, and you don't want to go to all the trouble and make the complete blank and then you fail making the hole. So the way I make the hole is like this. Put the blank, the piece of wood in there. Just check that we've got. Yeah, we have got you in the picture, or you got me in the picture. Then what I do then is I make sure that I got a little level there. See, took it out of an old tool that was thrown away, and I've kept the level. So I can just adjust that now until this is completely level. And the reason for that is that I want to drill a hole through there, and my drill isn't long enough to go completely through. And the other thing is, if it was long enough to go completely through, the chance of it going through the middle of that blank and coming out at that hole is about 1 in a million. So if I drill halfway from this side, then turn around and drill the other halfway with a bit of luck and a fair let wind, then it will be all the way through. So how am I going to do that? The first thing I done was make that level. Now then, next thing I do, I want to set the drill up so that I just check that, yeah, it is working. That doesn't quite go through, you see. So if I put that there in that little dent, I punched a punch in the hole, put that there, and then put this level on the drill and rise it up and down until it's in the middle and it's level. The reason for that is that it's very easy to deceive yourself into thinking that it's level and it isn't. So and that's about it. Now I've got there, I know if I keep that still now and go straight ahead, I should be fairly good. I'll just move that sickle out the way because I don't want to cut myself. Now then we're going to roughly halfway, if not a little bit more. Try and make it halfway, for the simple reason is that the further you go in, the more liable you are to go out of line. So about halfway you share the responsibility there with. Now the what I'm doing now is trying to get that level there. And that's it. So that's it. So now we repeat the process on this side. So we go into that little indent I've made with a punch, right in the middle where the washer. I put this on there. Get that up a little bit, down a bit. Let's see if I can get that nice in there. And that's about as close as I'm going to get. Now then that's it. So we'll do it. It has gone through. It has gone through. You see that doesn't reach, but I know because I felt it. I felt it in to the hole, and I'll just go in here the other way to clean it out. So that's now we got the hole right through. So that's one of the tricky jobs done. And if you use a level and you use your eye, you should be able to look right through there. Yeah, perfect. So we've got a nice straight hole. The next thing we want to do is cut that piece off there. See that pencil mark? Cut that off there, and cut that off there, and turn that into a square. You see, and then we can round it off, if you know what I mean. So, tell you what we'll do. I won't go all the trouble. It's quite easy for you to cut that into a square, so you've got a square. I don't have to do that to show you how to do that. But what I'll do then is when you got the square, you can then put it in the vise, because the vise will come out more than 6 inches. This vise comes out about 6.5 inches. So I know that if it comes out, this is only an example and it's a little bit short, I think. I didn't check it, but I think it's... So that doesn't matter because it's only an example. It's not going to make. I'm not going to make it. But if you then put that at an angle, what I'm doing now is I'm going to round that corner off, and then when you cut that off, round that corner off, and round that corner off, and you'll have a round blank. All right. So that's it. So I'll just put this here. Right. So I hope we can see that. Yeah, we can see that. So what I'm going to do now is just plane that part to the round, the corner there to the round, and then if I cut it to a square, then I just rotate to the other corner, and then I plane that one, and in the end you end up with a round blank. And I got an old one over there, I'll show you. But we just plane this off because we can. Just a little bit more meat off. There we are. So we're coming down. Oh, then just check on the other side. Yeah, that's good. It just wants a little bit more up this side. Overdone it a little bit there because I'm not going to use it. I'm not too concerned about it. But then when you come to there, then you can just do that. And in that way you can follow the round there. Just check that that one's a little bit up there. And then you start to get a round blank. Right, I've moved on a bit. Since then I've decided to cut it off to a square, till it was square, till our blank was square. And what I've done, I've gone on proceed now to follow it round. There was 4 squares there, 4 corners, and I've taken them off. See that one left for you to see? And now then I'm going round and I'm turning it into a round blank. So all I got to do now to finish off this last one is to put it in the vise. I've been putting it in the vise like that. And I just tighten it up. So now then I can use my plane now to just take that off. Just take that off. Don't put too big a cut on the plane, because you're not taking a lot of meat off, so you don't want to make a mistake. And when you're using the plane, press here, because then the plane is flat. If you press here, it's all over the place. But if you press there, and you can feel it flat on the stick. And see as we go along. Nice. Keep the flat. So now see that's coming flat. So it is not wedge shaped or anything. Keep it flat on that first hole there. So we press on. Now then, I'm just watching the arc now to make sure I don't go too deep. Got a little bit too much, taking a little bit too much off, but we can't stop now. I'd rather if the amount taken off was a little bit less than that, but and then we've got a little bit off this side now. Careful not to touch the blade against the... Yeah, that's alright. Now as I'm going round, as I'm cutting, I'm turning slowly in little segments like that. So if we go, hold there, flat, turn a little bit, turn a little bit, turn a little bit, turn a little bit. Now then, let's have a look. We got a little bit more to go on there, and we're exactly right both sides. So we'll do that, repeat that. Don't want to touch the blade on the vise, because otherwise I've got a lot of work to do getting it back again. This is probably the last pass. Very close now, very close. And it's all very academic really, because it's only a blank. But you want to do a good job no matter what it is. Now then that's come round to there. We got a little bit high spot both sides there, so if we turn it round a little bit to there, see that little flat up there? And a little bit, just, I don't know, that's close enough. We've got a little bit of a flat there now. I was a little bit careless, but that doesn't matter, and I'll explain to you why. It doesn't matter, because most of this will disappear when you're whittling it away with your knife. But we want a nice round blank, because if you start up with a nice round blank, you will tend to do a good job. I'm just taking them flats up there. A little bit more, and then that's it. Yeah, that's pretty good. Not going to be too fussy with it. So there we are. So we got a round blank. Okay, you could rub that down now if you wanted to. I just don't think what we're going to do. Yeah, we'll introduce now our little wedges. Just scrap timber. I cut 2 of these in. Put one in there. Put one in there. Fit the same height. And we can now put our blank in there and hold it tightly. The next thing we want to do is compare it with our pattern, and I found that waist that waist there, it's called the waist, the narrowest point is the waist, is 25 mil from the end. So I'm going to select my end now, the best end, and I would say that this is the best end for the end of the tool. So I'm going to make a mark 25 mil around there. Let me just put this. Be right in a minute. I'm going to have it disappearing out of view. 25 mil is there. There. So what I've done, put a row of marks around a 25 mil, just fill them in. Just fill them in there. And then what I'm going to do now is establish how deep in there I got to do to make that waist. And up here I've got a little tool. It's almost like a caliper, very handy, because I can now establish what the diameter of that is. Now I want to know the diameter of that, so if I put it in there and measure that, it will tell me the diameter, which is 37. And now the pattern, I want the diameter of the waist of the pattern now. That's 37. The diameter of the waist of the pattern is, let's see what that is. Roughly 27. So that's 10. So half of 10 is 5. So I want to cut into there 5 mil. And then it'll take 10 mil. And then you'll have a depth to work to. The other thing I want to do is, because that's on that end, on this end it's reduced. So I've found a washer now out of my washers and of the right diameter to replicate that diameter. So then if I go on to the furthest end of this now, that's for the waist, and this is for, and put that on the center of the hole there, like that. Doesn't have to be bang on, but it helps. And then just go round that with my pencil. Just put it on the bench and I can do it easier. And that gives me an indication now of, when I'm whittling away, of the shape of the tool we're making. So I've got a ring around there, and I want to whittle down to that, and I want to whittle down to that diameter. Now then, I said it was 5 mil, didn't I? So let's have a look. If we get our little pad saw, whatever you like to call it, and see what that is, and that is very close to 5 mil. So if we go the depth of that saw around our blank there, then we've got a depth gauge to work to. So if we just close the vise up, I'll keep doing this until it runs out, and then you'll be on your own after that, because I'm not going to make another one. So there we are. So now we've got that to work to. So what we can do now is go around there till it's the depth of the blade. Or pretty close to it. So just undo that and turn it. again. What I'm going to do, explain to you now, is what I would go from here on. So if the camera runs out of picture, you won't be on your own. But it's coming pretty straightforward, must be by now, that what's happening. So that's that. So we know that we've got to waste that away to put a flare on the end, like that. And see if we're still in picture, aren't we? Yeah. I'll just come a little bit closer. And a flare on the end there, and we've got to waste that away to that circle there. So what you want then, from now on, you're whittling, what's called whittling. Now I've got a knife somewhere, I keep it here, and this is the knife that I use if I'm whittling. And it's a case of help yourself with the whittling lar. Now, and if you get that problem of the, should have a hammer or something, yeah. If you get that problem of the things, just give them a tap down. And that should stop that whittling, moving around, because you don't want it moving around. Now, when you're whittling, I want to go into there now from here, because you're going to have the flare on there, aren't you? So I'm going to whittle that down to there, and then I'll whittle from about there to level with that round there, and then I'll gradually, and then I'll whittle that back until you get a waist, and then I'll get a piece of very narrow sandpaper and put it in there and rub it back and forth, and you'll be surprised how you come up with a shape like that, and it'll be exactly to that finish. So there we are. So when you're whittling, just put your hand against there, press with your thumb, and move the blade like that. So you go, see, and then you go. Okay, now it's all done pretty rough to start, so don't worry about it. So you can see how quite rapidly now you push with your thumb, you got some sort of control over it, and if you move the blade, it cuts through easier. If you try and push it through like that, it's quite hard. But if you sort of move it as well, like that, you'll find it's easier. Now then, you whittle down until it starts to stick like that, which gives an indication that you've reached the bottom of the cut. So you just do that. Now then, obviously, it'll take longer time to do this than we got on the camera. So that's what I'm doing there, and so I hate running out and not finish the job. And then, so you can see how you're starting to whittle. You whittle all the way around, and here I normally do it just against the bench. Now this bench on the top has got you know, when you see in these coal mines, you've got these big conveyor belts taking the coal or whatever, and it's got the belt of a conveyor belt. Perfect for a bench. If you see anything like that, you wanna grab it, because it's quite good. I put my knife down and I don't know where it is. So what I do is I can go in there if you like, go back in there like that, move it across to there, and you can do it there, but I tend to just come onto the bench and just go like that. Now I'm left-handed for certain things and right-handed for others. I'm a bit ambidextrous, and I want to mention some of that to you about the sickle, and I don't think I'll have time, so I'll make another little video because it's quite important. Because when we'll talk while I'm doing this, when we when we said about if you see a second-hand sickle, don't reject it because the handle's no good, because you can make a handle, as you're seeing. It's developing now, and it will develop, and therefore, and the other thing is that what I like to do, I told you that if you went on eBay, you can see them. I want to try and guide you as to what to look for, and also something that so we're getting closer, that I do that I don't advise you to do, and I won't tell you about it because it'll take too long now, because your camera might run out, and I'll just keep whittling until the camera runs out, and we do that. And then, now then, before we do that, we're just coming on the one side. What finally happens is that, and I must explain this before, is that there's the thing. You want to make a bigger hole in there now than there. That's easy. You might with a bigger drill, and then go here and make it bigger there. And here, on this side, you got a tang to go in. I mean, you got a tang. The tang is the long piece that goes right through from the sickle, and that's called the tang, and that goes right through. Now then, you can make that bigger by getting a bigger drill. I haven't got any bigger drills, but if I got a drill roughly that size, and then you can make that bigger, and then what you got to do, and this is a little bit of a tricky bit, is you've got to cut it out with a chisel. And I have I got, yeah, here's the chisel here, that's fortunate. But see, now that I use that chisel, you can see how sharp it is, see it shining. That's got to be quite sharp, because you've got to do that. Don't make it at this stage, because you want to make it to suit the tang that you're putting in there, and you want to make it with a bit of room, and because this is a bit of sacrilege now what I'm going to tell you, and you might roll your eyes, but it's true. It's because when you have I got the sickle here? Yeah. When you a sickle is made, it's got I can't remember that I told you not. It's paned over. In other words, they got a ball peen hammer, and they hammer that, and then when it's on, and that spreads the metal, and it's sealed it. You can't spread that metal again, because this is wrought iron, and therefore it work hardens, and that tang is now, you can't paint it over again. So what I do, and I've done it before, and it works every time, and it's perfect, is I make some araldite. What I do, I put some araldite down there, I clean the tang off, clean all the dust off, and make sure it's clean. Don't put any solvent on it, just rub it with a wire brush until it makes it clean, and then I coat the tang with the araldite, and I just press it in and leave it. It'll never come out. That one was done exactly that way. It works 100%, and if the old boys that had araldite years ago, they would have used it, I'm sure. And they have to. And you can see the end of the tang glistening there, possibly, and you can see the araldite around it, and that is on there, and that's that. Now, finally, with regard to the ferrule there, when you're whittling away, you see I haven't done it here. I haven't but the ferrule goes level there. I might have told you, I can't remember. It's level. It's not on top of the handle, it's level with it. So what you've got to do is you measure your ferrule, the distance on here, and then you make a mark, a little cut mark, and then you've got to whittle that away to account for the ferrule to sit nice in the handle like that. And if you do all that, then you won't go far wrong. And I think I've just about covered everything that I can think of, and that's it. Now then, as I say, what I'll do, I'll whittle away for a short while, and then I got to go, got things to do. But just watching now, because what I'll do, I'll get down to my circle, and then what you're doing now is up to you. You're making a handle to your specifications, to your desire, if you like. What you want is your opportunity to make now. If when you're doing that, if you move the knife just along it like that, see how it comes off? No trouble at all. Now then, you can see we're getting close on this side now, a little bit there, so I just turn it there, and I'll just take that off, because I want to get down to that mark to know what I've got left. And then, and here the same. And then what happens then is that when I've got around down to that mark, with regard to this side of the handle, the opposite the flare, nearest the sickle itself, that's close enough. And then I can come back up here and just take a little bit off here, see? Now I just get my thumb in action there, see? And you can gradually work up the handle and make that a cone. Gradually make that a cone, and then you come up to here with a nice cone. That's where your hand's going to sit. That's where your hand's going to sit. And you turn that into a very nice handle. And what you do here is you put another mark around here. Was it 25 mil, wasn't it? 25 mil to there. You put another mark from there, 25 mil up to there. Put another mark around there, 25 mil. And then that gives you a guide then. And from there, you can work back into the groove. So you take quite a bit off because it's got to come off. And you see, you start to your handle will start to appear out of this blank, if you know what I mean. It'll start, all of a sudden you start to see a handle coming out of it. And then the more you work at it, it shouldn't take you all that long, but it's going to take you a couple of hours, if not more, to do a fairly tidy job. So you can see what I mean, how your handle's starting to develop, and then I'll cone that up gradually and bring that together to make the handle. And then what you do then is you put it in your jigs when you've finished it. In your jigs, turn the jigs around. Oh, no, I don't want to go out of shot again like I normally do, which I am doing. So you put it in your jigs again, these jigs, I call them jigs, and then tighten them a little bit, and then turn them up like that, tighten them a bit further, and you've got that caught. And then what you want to do is get some sandpaper. This isn't complete by no means, but I'm saying when you get as close as you can, put it on there, and then just go like that. Keep going round. This is very fine sandpaper, so it's not doing the best job in the world, but you want to get 2 grades, or if not 3 grains. You can buy a metre of it for next to nothing if you go to the right shop, and then you can cut it into lengths, and then you can do it like that. If you had the coarse first, you could almost blend that on that alone. It wants a little bit more whittling to be done, and then what you can do then with regard to the waist. You know what I mean by the waist by now. There's the waist. You've got to get in there. So what you want to do is cut a piece of sandpaper, put it face down on the bench, use a sharp knife on a straight edge and cut a piece only about that wide, about half an inch, 12 mil, something like that. And then you do the same there, only up there with like that. Still got the camera still running. I'm quite amazed. And what you do then is bring that up there. You got your piece of sandpaper in there, and you put it in there, and you do exactly the same there, and then you can do that. I've also got that little tool that I showed you which I haven't got here, a cone with a piece of sandpaper cone, which I use for doing that as well. But so that's it. I think I've covered virtually everything. So you shouldn't go far wrong now. And as I say, that now it's got a bit of work there to get that. That won't take all that long, and you'll find that it'll just get better and better as you go. So, and let's just put that like that. There we are. Put that into there. What I haven't done there is or have I? Yeah, I have. Put that in there, turn it around, we carry on doing a bit of whittling. But I've explained everything to you now, and I think that with a little bit of care you get very good at that. And as I say, what you'll be able to then, you'll be able to look at these websites, be able to go to a car book sale. Next thing I'll do is I'll explain what to look for, and I'll also put you right on sharpening the sickle. There's something about this that I haven't told you. And I won't go into it now, but I'll put you right on that as well, and you'll be as wise as the next bloke. Probably a lot wiser than me as well. So, so that's what we'll do. Okay, so I hope that's been informative to you. And what I'll do, I'll endeavour to, if I got time, finish this one off. And I'll show you how I mean that it might look a bit crude now, but it'll come out looking like a handle, or I'll be a bit disappointed. I've made one for a few years, so possibly I'm not as good as I used to be, but we'll see. See how it's developing? Now, and as I say, you go down to the cut. And once it doesn't break away like that, you know that you've reached the bottom of the cut. See how that's starting to stick? So you don't go any deeper there. That's come off. You can see a little bit of the cut there. And then we can just turn it around a little bit more. And just take that off. That off. See a little bit there. They're starting to stick on, so we reach the depth that we want to come. So that's about it. Now, as I say now, then, with regard to the other side, you can use the bench if you want, and just go on the bench. Let's go over here. Do it freehand on the bench, without the jigs. We just start from here. That's where our mark, so we can go up from there. So we can just go like that. Use your body now as the weight. So that's it. I'm going to leave now. I've got to go, and bye bye. I'll complete the other video a bit later on. Okay. Hello. I'm back again, and I was making a video the other day about well, Hibernian Guard. I think that's his subscriber name. He asked whether I could give him some pointers or show how to make a handle for a sickle. And I think that's very important for the simple reason that the sickles as we know them in the UK are getting scarce and scarcer, because the larger, there was a cottage industry, and it was mostly in a little community called the Ridgeway north of Sheffield, I think. And they made sickles, and also there's one in Devon that I think is still operating in a very minor way, Dunsford, but the ones at the Ridgeway closed down, and the last one closed down in 1988, and so therefore these types of sickles are not made anymore. These forged steel, not wrought iron like I said a little while ago, forged steel sickles. They're made by hand, and they're made to a specific pattern, and they made various patterns, and they would actually make them pretty well to what you wanted. So if a farmer went there and he could look at the scale of how their range of sickles, and he could pick what he liked for a specific purpose. One was for cutting heavy grass. It might be a bit stronger and a bit longer, and therefore, but somebody doing for light grass and brushing hedges, it'd be something more like that, a little bit lighter on your hand, etc. So that is all gone. But that doesn't mean to say that's the end of sickles, because there was a lot made, and there's a lot about that people don't realise, that are sitting in sheds in the UK and possibly in abroad, and in America they made sickles, and I don't think they make any more, but there'll be second-hand ones lying about, and they can be renovated. I won't go into that in detail, because I'll make another little video about that, because it's a subject on its own. But anyway, talking about making a handle for a sickle, I started to make this video. I got about 3/4 of the way through. I was called away. I come back to finish it off, and I didn't realise that the camera didn't come back on. So I completed the video, and the last quarter was missing. So I'm going to just recap on that, well, because you haven't seen it anyway, and we'll take it like that. So I got around to making the handle, and I'll just turn you around now to let's do a think. Let's have a look at it. We'll just go around quickly. Here we are, because I don't like this editing lark. I should do, but I don't. And here is the handle that I made some time ago. The reason being that this billhook, I might have explained it previously. The handle had gone. I seen it. I liked it. And I bought, well, actually, I found it, if I remember, it's a long time ago, and you'll find them just discarded, and the handle had gone away. So I made a new handle for it, and that's the handle. You wouldn't believe it's new, but it's made from redwood, and it goes dark in colour. Very nice to whittle and everything like that. The flats on them weren't there, and they were made for a specific purpose, and I described that in a previous video, which you might have noticed. And the thing is that when a handle goes, you've got a slight problem. You can make another handle, and I'll show you how. Is that that the tang, then, because when you peen over the tang, which means knocking it with a ball peen hammer, I may have described this previously, but put in and they knock the tang, and they make it into like a rivet. And when you knock steel like that, forged steel, you work hard in it. So if you won't be able to do that again. It's a once not for only job. So the way you're going to do is grind that off, and then take the old handle off. When you come to put the other one on, then you've got a problem. And I'll explain that just very shortly. Now then, I got as far as whittling when I was called away, and I didn't get the other piece of the video, and I was whittling this handle that I had made. Got as far as that, and I was whittling here, and you can see I'm left-handed, or I'm ambidextrous really, whittling there, and I was whittling down there to do that, and I showed you how to whittle down there, and at that point I think I was called away, but anyway, we'll add this to it. So what happened then was I carried on whittling as far as I could there, in that angle down to the cut there that I made, and whittled down to a size that I put on a washer there to give us the right diameter, and that diameter there. And when I got to that, what I didn't describe to you was how I proceeded further. And what you do then, it might look quite rough when you've done the whittling, and you might feel a little bit disappointed, but don't be so, because what you need to do then is put it in the vise, in my little clamps, make a clamps like that, 2 of them sitting up so that they fit exactly. Put the handle in there halfway, and then just tighten up, bring it forward, tighten up, and then you got it nice and tight. And then what you can do is you can sand it then like that, but I don't sand it horizontally because it's a little bit awkward, so I'll just turn it over and show you what I mean. But if you sand it in this way, then you can get a very accurate way of sanding. Now that was quite whittled rough, you know. I mean, it was good, it was to the right shape, but it needed polishing or taking off. And if you get some sandpaper like that, they sell it by the meter or something in certain shops, hardware shops, and you can buy a meter, and you can cut it to the size you want and the thickness you want, and then you put it around there, and all you do is that. Now it looks easy, but what you got to remember that as you come up, you want to yeah, we're all right. You want to give the curve. So as you're coming up like that, you do like that, making that nice, and then as you come up, you bend down a little bit like that, so that you're making the curve. And then you can come around like that, and then you can go down like that. And it doesn't take long before your quite rough whittled object becomes, almost like magically, quite smooth and okay. And then you come around here, and you can do it there. And then you go all the way around the handle, just like that, coming up like that. And quite quickly you will find, if you're whittling, if you've done a good job of whittling, then you will find that that's okay. And then you come here, and that's doing like that. Obviously you've only done half the handle. What you've got to do now then is undo it, turn it around, put it back in there. If it'll go back and behave itself, yes it will. You always find when you're doing a video that everything goes wrong. Like that. I mean, the block is a little bit out, but it'll just describe. Let's put that right. There we are. Do the job tidily, say. So that's it. So then you can carry on here. Now then, I'm a little bit close to that waist. And the trouble is that if you're close to the waist, when you're doing that, then the edge of the sandpaper will cut into the other edge up here. That'll become obvious to you when you're doing it. So you want to bring that up a little bit, as far as you can, because you're working on a round surface down here, a tapered surface. So I'm below the waist. And if I keep below the waist, I'll be alright. Because what happens if you go above the waist up here, then you make a mark in your second in the waist up here, and that looks rather unsightly. You just want a nice smooth surface down and then across, and then you can do that, carry on doing that, try and waist it, keep it slightly downhill so that you're not making a parallel when you're making a nice waist in there into that, and that will come as well. Now then, after you've done that, what you can do, you can make an even smaller piece if you like, and put it around that one, and you can do that in the same manner. Again, I've got to emphasize this, or you can turn it the other way up or whatever, or put it on its side. Might be better on its side doing that. Should we put it on its side to show you? Because if you got it like that, for that, you want it nice and firm. If that's a bit waddly, like that is, just tap them like that, and then that sort of tightens it up. And get your piece of sandpaper, and then you can do there. You've got to be careful doing that there. But now then, you don't want that sandpaper to go down into the bottom, because you'll make a mark on the other face then. So what I've done is, I've got out of that by making a little jig. I always call them jigs, but a little tool shaped like that, about that distance. It's only a piece of wood I picked up out of the bench, shaped like, and put the angles on with the plane so that it marries those angles there, you see. And then you've got some roughness there, you see, in the bottom of the waist there, the one's doing. So if you get a piece of sandpaper there, or a bit of emery cloth or whatever, put it on, get in the middle, and just go around like that. And that way you will get a nice finish on your waist. And that's it. If you do that, no need for me to do it all. I've given you the guidance. You can work out the rest for yourself. And that is the piece of timber that I started out with. And I'll just come back to the bench. There we are. So that is the piece of timber we started out with. You can see the difference because this is the one that I made for the billock. That was the one I made. This is a spare that I made. Now then, regarding the hole. Now then, when we look at the hole we made, it's about, I don't know, 5 or 6 mil or something like that. And it comes through and it's still 5 or 6 mil. Now then, that now, as I said, is important and we've got it. Whereas this one is bigger. That's about 6, 7 mil or something like that, about just over. Let's have a look. Don't want to guess it, do we? So we'll have a look. It's about 7 mil. About 7 mil. And obviously that hasn't got that because that was made for the tang of that billock, ready as a replacement. Whereas we don't know what this is going into because we don't know that we haven't got the billock for it yet, because you intend to buy a billock without a handle and make a handle for it and therefore increase the value of the billock, and you've got a nice sickle, sorry, you've got a nice sickle to work with, and you can feel a bit of pride in the fact that you made the handle for it. So therefore you can increase the whole of that. You can increase that up to about 5/16 or about 6, 7 mil, 7 mil, 8 mil, 7 mil anyway, no more than that. And then you don't make the place for the tang to go in, because you don't know what the tang looks like, do you? So you leave that for now. That's your blank and you keep it. And therefore the hole will be all ready. All you got to do is make that. That's a bit of trial in that. And what I've got, and I put it by, and I'm not going to get it out. I got a chisel that's about 1/4, which is ideal, 1/4 of an inch chisel, which is 6 mil. And it goes down there very sharp, and I can whittle that out. And that is a tapered, goes to a round there and comes through and comes out at that there. Now then, what I do then, when I want to put the billock in, and I say some people roll their eyes, but it works, and it works consistently. That has been put in the same way, is make some araldite up and put some in the hole, push them into there, coat as much as you can. You haven't got much time, but before you do that, the billock or the sickle that you're going to put the handle on, you want to clean up the tang. That missing, there just be a tang there, long tang, tapered shaft if you like, and you want to clean it up without adding anything. It's got to be dry but fairly rust free. Keep the roughness, and then get it so that it'll fit in it dry without doing it. And then also what you want to do is take the ferrule off, because the ferrule will normally be with the sickle or with the thing, hopefully, and then you can take the ferrule off and measure the distance of the ferrule, and also try the ferrule, and the ferrule will be too small to fit on the end of there. So leave it small, because what you want to do is put a mark around there at the thickness of the width of the ferrule, and then you want to be able to whittle that away and sand away like we did with the sandpaper, so that the ferrule just sits on, but it's level with the handle. You see there, that the ferrule is loose, but it's level with the handle there, like I've done here, so that it's level. You don't want the ferrule sticking on top, otherwise it'll wear your hand away. So you want it as if it's a part of the handle. That's important. And then what you can do when you're coating it, you can put a bit of araldite on the ferrule, press it on the ferrule, push it onto the shaft, and leave it. And it'll set, and it'll never come off. If you do have to get it off, you'll have to get a chisel and split it off and clean up the tang again, won't you? So that's the end of the story.